Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Love Fruit podcast. Today we have a really special guest, a complete legend in the world of veganism, and someone who's made a massive difference I'm sure has made a big difference to the fact that plant-based diet, vegan diet is becoming more and more well known these days. That is Freelee, sometimes known as Freelee the Bananagirl. And Freelee is an Australian YouTube personality, vegan activist, speaker, author, creator of a number of YouTube channels. One has over 780,000 subscribers, over 330 million views, although I think in total it's probably closer now to 360 or 370 million views. She was actually raised on a farm in Queensland and was brought up around organic fruits and vegetables, also ate animal products. I believe that she's experimented with a lot of diets in her life, paleo diet, high protein, Atkins, different things like that. Has experienced eating disorders and that kind of thing, and has been able to overcome all that with a raw vegan diet and the Russell 4 diet, which she was basically, she's the founder of the Russell 4 diet and that all that kind of movement. Controversial at times, but someone that never fails to speak her mind about any topic, and has been a big inspiration to probably millions and millions of people around the world. So Freelee, thank you very much for giving us some time today.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited. Thanks for that intro.
Yeah, and do you have anything else you'd like to say? Is there anything else you'd like to add on there about yourself? Just for an introduction.
Yeah, not really. Like I'm here to spread the fruit love, really, to the world.
And are you in Australia right now?
I'm in Australia, North Queensland.
Yeah, and just to say to everyone, you're not on screen because I think your connection is not so great where you are. So sometimes people ask, why are people not on screen? But sometimes there's reasons for it.
It isn't, because I'm in the jungle and it can be a little bit up and down.
Yeah, I really want to find out more about the way that you're living now and that kind of lifestyle. I just want to ask quickly about Australia. You know, the perception around the world right now is that Australia is like going through a lot of kind of harsh stuff.
It's crazy.
Is that affecting you at all? Are you just kind of oblivious to it, or all the rules?
Well, a couple of years ago, I mean, probably 5 or so years ago, my partner and I were like, we could see that things were just, not looking good for the future as far as, mainstream society goes. So we took an effort. We made efforts to move off grid and into the jungle here. And so we got away from a lot of that, so we're like, 3 hours away from any kind of mainstream city. So we're not a part of it, but I do have relatives who are in the middle of it. And it's just, it's terrible, with all these mask mandates and just a whole lot of corruption. Basically, it's not really affecting me in North Queensland at all, but in Victoria and Gold Coast and places like that, it's pretty bad.
Yeah, that's a shame, and hopefully that'll pass. But to talk more about you, which I'm sure everyone wants to hear more about, is obviously you're a well-known vegan advocate and activist. What was your upbringing like? Were you brought up on a conventional style of diet? Was there anything kind of alternative about your upbringing?
Yeah, like in comparison to the kids who I went to school with, it was definitely a lot healthier. We had passion fruits at home, watermelon, sometimes figs, lychee. We grew these fruits. So that was definitely a plus. That was definitely better than most children I went to school with who had just, hot dogs for lunch and cans of Coke. And it was really shocking. But we still ate animal bits and pieces, secretions. We had cows, we're milking cows, and we killed chickens, so it was, maybe less processed than the standard upbringing in that area, which was very crappy processed diet most children were brought up on. But still contained all the saturated animal fat, the protein, and all the stuff that is making people ill. So
Sure.
it was a little bit better in the fruit. Yeah, we did have fruit trees, so that was a little bit better.
And was that like an actual farm? Did you sell the fruit, or was it just like you had some trees on your property kind of thing?
Oh, we just had some trees on the property, and we had horses, and we used to ride the horses, past like heaps of mango trees, and would stop and eat the mangoes from the trees on the horses, which was always like a highlight, like a memory that is very strong for me.
Mm-hmm.
Those sweet, amazing mangoes, because I was basically, I would say, underfed. I like, especially with fruit, just about
Right.
everybody was growing up.
Sure.
But just in general, I felt quite hungry a lot of my upbringing, which is a little bit sad. But the fruit definitely was, I was restricted from eating, as much fruit as I wanted. My mum definitely tried. She like if we went to like a birthday or something, there's another kid having a birthday, she would cut up a melon. She would cut half a melon, and she would put like melon balls, in the melon, and make it look really beautiful, and she'd take that to the party. Whereas all the other kids' mums were taking, like homemade sausage rolls and cakes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And the kids love the fruit, they love the melon. They're like, wow, and because that's their, the natural instinct coming through.
Sure.
And it tasted amazing. It was hydrated, sweet, juicy, just instead of this dry, disgusting stuff, So that was great.
Yeah, I mean, I see that with children, like they're so magnetically drawn to fruit, and they eat it so easily. And it seems that somehow as adults, people learn this thing to like restrict that and hold back on that. And I really hate seeing that with children. When I see the parents holding them back from the fruit, it's like really depressing to me.
I know, it is so sad. And I was restricting, when I got older too, and then I just binge out. I binge out on all sorts of processed, carbohydrate rich processed junk food. And I just didn't make the connection, until I was about 27.
Right. So a lot of people I guess they head towards veganism maybe kind of slowly. Was it a step-by-step process for you, or did something happen with your health or something? Like what was the journey like for you towards waking up to like a vegan diet?
I was definitely having serious digestive issues, and I think, at first they were kind of, not as serious, but then I had antibiotics, a few courses of antibiotics, and that just totally decimated my gut microbiome and my microbiome throughout my body. And after that, I was just, my digestion was shocking. Just bloated all the time, diarrhea, so much gas. And actually my partner at the time, my first boyfriend, he lost his smell in a skateboarding accident. So he couldn't smell, and I was literally just farting all the time when I was around him. And it just stunk. I'm just going to be perfectly honest here. It stunk shockingly. And I remember his mum actually came around to his unit and she was Croatian, and she had a heavy accent, and she's like, Steve, what is this disgusting smell in the unit? And I was like, he was like, I don't know, Mum, I can't smell, and I was there as well, and I was completely embarrassed, and it was really, really bad.
Yeah.
So I was looking for a solution. I didn't want to be like stinking out my partner, my friends, and having that kind of presence around people. But I had this constant gas, just constant and intense pain. And so I went to the doctor, as you do when you don't you don't have any knowledge on optimal nutrition and just changing your diet.
Yeah.
And took a round of these, basically the radioactive antibiotics.
Wow.
And that was very intense. Yeah, I was taking that for maybe about 10 days. Like it was a really heavy course. And after that, though, it was even worse. And I was like, I'm getting to the point where I don't know, I don't know what's going to happen next. So then I saw this gastroenterologist. He was meant to be the best in Australia. And I was living in Sydney at the time, and that's like the wealthiest area, and that's where, all the best health professionals are. And he just wanted to give me more drugs. And I'm like, oh, this is just ridiculous. I don't want any more drugs, and so I had educated myself before that previously. There is more to it. Previously I was into yoga, and my yoga teacher, she was into juicing, and she got me onto juicing, but then I didn't eat enough. I tried to do raw vegan, and I got a recipe book with my juicer, and it was a living foods recipe book, but it had actually raw meat in it. And I was like, what the heck is this? Even as like a meat eater myself at the time, I was like, this is ridiculous. But I tried to do raw vegan at that point. I tried, I was like, I was starting to feel better, because I was juicing, and I was removing, a lot of the foods that were causing me issues. But then I didn't eat enough. And so I just ended up binging out all the time, and kind of quit that. But then it came back again when I had this gastroenterologist interview, because I remember I'm like, hey, I'm starting to feel really good eating that way and juicing and stuff. So then I went back into it. And yeah, like weight loss was also a motivator as well. My weight was up and down. So I didn't go vegan. So I'd say I was plant-based at first, because it was nothing to do with the animals.
Yeah.
And that's what veganism is about. It's about the animals. So it was just for selfish motivation at that point, which is fine. We do things for selfish reasons. And the beauty of veganism is a fruit-based veganism. There's definitely different ways you can eat under the vegan umbrella. But the beauty of it is, you can save animals, you can save the environment, save your health as well. So that is really awesome. And that's basically how I came to it.
Yeah, I just see it as like the absolute best thing for improving the planet. Like everyone has all these complaints about the world and how it's run, and the planet, and the use of resources and whatever, and the lack of health and whatever. And this is one solution that actually works. Like this kind of changes everything.
Yeah.
Instead of just
it works.
Yeah.
It works for everyone. It works for every part of it. It's like for the animals, for the environment, for your health. It's like, it's just win, win, win. What does Doug say? Winfinity,
Sure. And what was your diet like prior to like making those changes when you were suffering? What did your diet look like at that point?
The diet was okay at that point with my first partner. So I was kind of oscillating between eating hardly anything, eating like around 800 calories a day. Seriously, like it was really bad. And I was also having drugs, speed, cocaine,
oh wow,
ecstasy. yeah, exactly. Like I really, that obviously wouldn't have helped my digestive system.
Sure, right.
But others who were also doing the same were not having the same issue. And I attribute some of that to maybe I had a cleaner upbringing. I had more fruit than the average child. And my system was just like, when I moved to the city, I worked at McDonald's for a year, like full time, was employee of the month, believe it or not. This is when I was 16.
Wow. Yeah.
And and I was eating it. I was eating it several times a day and almost every day. Yeah. At that point, that was before I met my partner. But I just kind of went crazy into junk food. I think because it was so stimulating. And although I had junk food before, you know, I was kind of free to do what I wanted to do, you know, and just buy whatever I wanted to buy. It wasn't, you know, under the control of my parents anymore at home. Well, my mum, but you know, she was like, yeah, whatever. But my dad, you know, we kind of, yeah, I didn't have that control anymore. So I just, that's how I thought that you know, everyone else was eating like that, so I'll just eat like that too.
Sure.
So I was eating definitely just very processed, although I was very like wary about my weight. I was always weight focused. I was like, you know, I don't want to get fat, because my dad growing up was very much look at that fat person over there. You don't want to look like that fat person.
Yeah.
You know, he was what you would call the classic fat shamer. So I had that instilled pretty early, and obviously it is healthy to be lean. You know, it's healthy to keep your body lean. That's how the human frugivore is designed to be, and that is instilled in all of us, you know, that focus. So people are, you know, when they get overweight, generally, you know, they want to lose it. So there's, you know, diets are rife throughout society. Everyone's on a diet. So I was definitely, you know, focused on my weight. So I would restrict the amount of calories and generally restrict the amount of fat. But then I'd go between, you know, not having enough food and then just binging out, and also having anorexia for a period of time and eating 800 calories or less, you know, not eating at all some days. So I've been through a lot of periods of just eating disorders, you know, like, and being so controlled by food. And now having this food freedom on the frugivore diet is just like freaking amazing. You know, it's life-changing, you know.
Yeah, I mean, something that I remember when I first started to come across your information, and it really hit home to me that something that you were really strong about, and you always have been, is people eating enough food, and that part of the problems people have is they're not getting enough. They're not eating enough carbohydrate, they're not getting enough of the right foods, really, and there's such a culture of people trying to undereat, not just within veganism, raw veganism and things like that, but in the health scene in general, I suppose, like restriction, undereating, the eating disorders. Is it because of those experiences, and then what you've seen with a lot of the people, I suppose, that have come to you for help? Is that what's made you so strong about that message of eating enough, eating abundantly, and that kind of thing?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, it's just because it doesn't work when you undereat,
Right.
when you don't get enough glucose and fructose to your brain. It just, you know, that's why people are restricting because they're eating the wrong foods, you know. Like they have to restrict in order to stay a certain size. You know, they want to be, you know, like they want to be lean and everything, but they can't eat those foods that they're eating. You know, so they have to restrict them. So when they come to the fruit-based diet, a lot of individuals are still in that mindset of restriction.
Yeah.
You know, and so they're restricting like the most perfect food, you know, on the planet for humans, you know, fruit, when they don't have to. And I just think that's really sad. And I want to get people out of that mindset and help them realize that, hey, like, you might go through a period of weight gain, like I did myself, you know, because, you know, if you've been restricting like I had, just starving yourself intermittently, then, you know, you're going to have a period of weight gain. But long term, you know, the weight's going to come off and you're going to be healthy. And I think I'm a living example of that after 14 years fruit-based.
Yeah.
14 and a half years. And it's definitely played a part in me. Just emphasizing the importance of eating enough, because, you know, I'm also athletic and it's healthy, you know, to move the body, not to be sedentary. And a lot of people who are not eating enough, they just don't have the energy to move, you know, and just be, you know, active enough to be healthy, maintain, you know, good health.
Yeah. And if we get back to your story, so you'd found out a little bit about juicing and living foods and things like that, and you made it clear it was mostly about health for you at that point.
Yeah.
When did you start to really put it together in terms of how to actually, live on a healthy fruit-based sort of a diet? Like, what were the stages of experimentation and so on that led you to the path you're on now?
I at first was like, I saw this girl in a newspaper, and it was like a healthy living newspaper, just like a little one. And she was like glowing and she was talking about living foods, and I was really inspired by her. And she kind of helped, push me towards certain forums. I went on David Wolf's forum. What was it called at the time? Sun Food Diet Forum or something like that. And there was a whole lot of people on there who had like very photoshopped photos. They had like auras glowing.
Right.
It was like, I was like, wow, when you go raw, when you go on living foods, you're just going to look like a beam of light.
Sure.
You're just going to be like an angel. And I was definitely inspired by that. But there was an individual, I even remember his name actually. I think his handle was like Chase or something. And he was trashing Doug Graham. He was really trashing Doug. He was like, oh, like this guy is, just too much sugar, too much fruit. He basically just says eat fruit all day.
Yeah.
He's saying that kind of thing. And I was like, wow, that's exciting. That appeals to me, because I'd always loved fruit since I was young. And it kind of took me back to my childhood. And I was like, wow, like this is, I could do that. I could eat fruit all day. And that really got my interest. I was really interested after that. And I pretty much got into Doug Graham's work very early. But prior to that, I was working at a gym, and I was doing fasting, just not eating at all. And then I would like binge out. I had a real obsession with sushi rolls, and I used to go to the what do you call it, the sushi place, and I would get them to make it without rice. So I was going there and I was still eating fish, so I'd have strips of fish with vegetables and no rice, and I was eating that at the sushi place, and I'm like, I don't like this. Like, this doesn't taste good.
Right.
I was missing the actual carbohydrate component. The vegetables had a bit, but you know what I mean? The rice had most of it and had sugar in the rice and that sort of thing. So that was kind of the first, I was transitioning. I was eating fruit during the day, and then I was having this fish at night, and I was having green juices. So I wasn't getting enough. But then when I found Doug's book and I got into 80-10-10, that really changed everything. I was like, wow, I have energy again. I was starting to feel like this raw thing, I didn't really have energy, but I knew it was the path I wanted to take. Like, I knew it was the answer. I don't think you've met a more passionate individual about raw at that point. I was so excited. Like, I was just like, this is it. This makes so much sense, but I still didn't get how to do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, got into 80-10-10. There was a girl actually at one of the raw food meetups that I went to, and my friend Nadia, who I'm still friends with, and she was having mango. She ate like, I don't know, 6 or more mangoes at this picnic.
Yeah.
And I was just getting into all the the really gourmet raw food snacks.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I questioned her. I'm like, wow, you're eating so much fruit. This, like, you're eating all these mangoes. This is crazy. And she was glowing and everything. And then she also talked about Doug. So I got the book and started following his plan, and it was just amazing. That's pretty much it.
Fantastic. Did you meet? I know Doug did some talks in Australia at some point. Did you happen to go to them or meet him then?
Yeah. We were part of. We organized him coming out, basically.
All right. Okay.
My friend and I at the time, Francis. Yeah, we organized these talks, and Matt Monarch, actually, he stayed with us as well. Matt Monarch stayed with me, and also Angela Stokes.
Wow.
And Sergey Botenko. they stayed in my unit. But yeah, at the time, Doug, we organized these talks and drove him around and stuff, and did some interviews back then. That was great to have him around. And to meet him.
Yeah,
and Rosie.
I've seen one of those interviews. I remember you asked him about B12, and he had a big answer to that. I remember that. I was always wondering where that came from, that interview. And
that was.
I don't know if you've got a lot of time left, really. I don't want to take up too much of your time.
I can go for another 10 minutes.
Okay, cool. So I guess the next part of this is you becoming active on social media and on forums. How did that all happen? How did the website come about, 30 bananas a day and things like that? How and YouTube, how did you start doing all that, and why?
So YouTube, I started in 2007 because I decided, I don't know, at the time I was just passionate about raw and like healing. I was feeling so good. I was like, damn, I need to tell the world about it. So I started it in 2007, but I didn't start uploading until 2008 when I was traveling across Australia on my bicycle, and I was raising awareness at that time for veganism, and I was eating all living foods, and just showing other individuals that, hey, you can do big athletic feats, and all you have to do is eat fruits and greens, nuts and seeds. So that's when I started uploading to YouTube and the website. So at the time I was on, actually Harley and myself were on Raw Pleasure. It was a old website that one of my friends had created. It was called Raw Pleasure. And as usual, he was like stirring things up on there, and offending a lot of people. But he was speaking the truth a lot. He was speaking the truth, but he was probably just doing it in a way that was too much for some people. And he got banned from there. And so we were together at this point, and I'm like, I'm going to start a new website. I'm going to start. I researched the Ning forums, and I started a new website, and I thought about names for it took me like a week or something to decide on names. I was thinking, friends of fruit and fruit addicts, and and then I'm like, well, 30 bananas a day is kind of like controversial, and it represents, around 3,000 calories, which was important, for us to, make sure people are eating enough. So yeah, I thought that was a good one. So that started the website. And yeah, people just started to flock to it because we both had passion. We both had a lot of passion for it, and we were really active on there. I'd left my personal training job, and so I was kind of just, working on there full time. And just the passion spreads, like when you have a real passion for something and people start to jump on the living foods lifestyle, and they start to experience, benefits as well. They tell their friends, they want to meet others who are into it. And it was just really beautiful, like it was a really amazing time in my life personally, because seeing so many people on the forum just connecting and like having such a great time and experiencing so much healing, that was everything for me at the time. So that's how I started the forum, and YouTube. I was making videos about the lifestyle. That's it.
That website was super influential, and I think that there was so many people on that now that are still doing this kind of lifestyle and have went on to spread it to even more people and do more things. And I think that a lot of things came out of that. I know Michael Arnstein was talking about how Woodstock, the Woodstock Festival, basically came about from him searching for people in New York on that forum and he found Yulia, and then they created the festival. And you guys were part of that. You were a big part of that festival, and really without your forum, I don't think it probably wouldn't have happened really. And So you were a huge part of that. Do you remember all that happening as well? Was that exciting?
Yeah, I remember that as well. Like a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of amazing things, like we're just started there. And it's incredible to be a part of that. And the Woodstock Fruit Festival is still going to this day and so amazing. And like, yeah, for it to be like kind of birthed out of 30 bananas a day, that's pretty cool. That's very cool. And I remember the controversy at Woodstock Fruit Festival as well, and being, fired from there basically. And I totally agree, actually, that they should have done that for sure, because we were eating cooked, and of course, like, that doesn't go with the living foods message. And we were, basically doing it online as well. So thinking back, I definitely agree with that decision, which might be controversial.
Yeah, I mean, it was probably handled the wrong way and everything, but yeah, I'm sure they'd love to see you back someday if you're ever there. Now, obviously, you've had wonderful success. You've had great books that you put out there. Go Fruit Yourself, Rossel 4 Diet, hugely successful with all that. Now it seems you've transitioned towards. You're still putting the message out a lot, but you're living a more off the grid lifestyle. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, definitely off the grid. Just getting away from the mainstream like setup, just trying to detach ourselves, from that and build our own, beautiful reality out here. That's what we're doing. And it's tough. It's tough sometimes, but that's just life, that makes you stronger. And we're really, enjoying the lessons that we're getting out here, and growing our own food is amazing. Just picking it off the tree is just, that's what it's all about, right? That's what it's all about. I love it. And every year, like, we're getting, more fruit production, and closer to our goal of being, totally self-sustainable.
Amazing.
And it's the best time in my life, really. It's just, I've got heaps of good times in my life for sure, but this is just, I feel like I'm living the truth, like as close as I can get to it at this point. I'm, living just that, the lifestyle that I love and that I'm meant to be following, eating a diet that is, treating my body with the utmost respect. So yeah, it's great.
That's amazing. I mean, I think that's a lot of people, when they start eating fruit, that's their dream, really, is like they start to think about finding a place like that they can grow fruit and live a more natural lifestyle and things like that. So it's wonderful.
Because it's like expensive. It's expensive to, eat the lifestyle, eat that way, like in the city. But I mean, it's affordable. Don't get me wrong. It's like, people are spending money on, makeup and movies and restaurants and, and designer clothing, whatever, they cut all that out. And obviously it becomes realistic, to eat fruit-based, it becomes cheap.
For sure. And I believe at one time you were kind of doing this, you were doing this lifestyle, traveling around and stuff like that. So you weren't cycling around and you were still managing to do it. So people can find a way. So
it's amazing. Like, I want everyone to experience like the frugivore diet. I call it the frugivore diet because, we are frugivores physiologically, and we're meant to be eating most of our calories from fruit. So I just want everyone to experience that. It's just amazing. And this time I'm back, and it's for good.
Awesome.
Never say never, all that, but like, I really, like, this is it for me. Like, I've been through, raw till 4, I still recommend to individuals out there, because it's some people just aren't going to be all living foods. It's just not going to happen for them. So raw till 4 is definitely a good compromise, and also a good transition. So I'll always recommend that. But cooked food is inferior. It's just, we're lying to ourselves if we're trying to say that cooked food is better than eating whole, living, fresh fruit. It's just not.
So you stick to a more raw diet now?
Oh, I'm all living foods now.
Oh wow.
Yeah, since April last year. So
fantastic.
almost like a year and a half.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I talk about it on my Frugivore Diet channel, which I have this other channel,
Yeah.
kind of this second channel that I have, where I talk about it more, and I critique diets and say, hey, you know, they're eating wartime food, because basically people are just eating like they're in a bunker during the war. You know what I mean? Like flour, you know, just a whole lot of processed junk food.
Sure.
That's just
Sure.
should be kept for the war times, rather than now when we all still have access to fresh fruit and vegetables. So
I personally felt with the Russell 4 diet that there was a lot of people that criticized it. For example, there's a few people that almost built their entire YouTube persona out of the fact that they did the Russell 4 diet and it didn't work for them.
Like Bonnie Rebecca.
Yeah, and there's
yeah.
a number of others. And I always felt like I would look into what they were doing, and they were eating like unlimited carbs, but they were also adding other things in, and they were having a pasta sauce that was clearly filled with oil and stuff like that and all this other stuff, and you're like, that's not the program. You
That's
can't
right.
blame the diet.
That's right.
But there is definitely
yeah. I saw that a lot myself.
Yeah, well, it's been really great to talk to you and reconnect, and maybe we'll get a chance another time to speak a bit more. But to finish off today, could you maybe just give some advice, some inspiration to the audience, for people that want to embrace a lifestyle like you have, and just finish off with some advice, and maybe also let us know what are your kind of dreams for the future.
Yeah, well, just try it. Okay, just try it for 30 days. Try the Frugivore diet, raw to 4, fruit-based. Like, it's just, that's all I can really say. You have to try it for yourself. You have to experience it for yourself, and feel that energy lift and that vitality. And then it becomes like so much easier to stay on the path, you know, because you're like, you don't want second best, you know, you don't want to feel that cooked food, you know, come down, you know, that brings the vibe down. So yeah, just try it for 30 days. Go on the frugivorediet.com. I've actually 30 bananas a day is now called the frugivorediet.com. There's not a lot happening there, admittedly, because, you know, Instagram, Facebook, they've just taken over the forums. So it's difficult to, you know, unless I spend a lot of time on there pumping it up, which I don't really have. Go on there, and there's support on there. You know, you can do a search through, you know, thousands and thousands of discussions. So that's a really good support system there. And you know, if you want to move off grid, just like do it as soon as possible. Do it as soon as possible, because society is definitely obviously going in a direction that is not great. Yeah, it's not great. It's dangerous. You know, it's dangerous for people, for your freedom. And I definitely recommend that you get off grid and maybe try like doing, you know, some like, I don't know, just looking after land, you know, being like a keeper of the land for someone who owns the land, you know, going there and just, you know, looking after a fruit orchard, volunteering your services like that, you know, in, you know, like, and maybe not getting paid, but getting free accommodation and free food. Oh, it's not free, but you know,
the kind of working style.
Yeah, doing a trade like that, you know, that can be a good way to, you know, get a feel for it, and maybe save some money. Like, do an online business. Online business is great. That's a great way to, you know, live anywhere in the world, and give you a little bit of an experience of the off-grid lifestyle. But yeah, just increase the amount of fruit, and your life will change. That's for sure. And my dreams are to write the Frugivore Diet book. That's amazing. Like a big dream of mine. And and I've got 3 books at the moment. And, you know, my recent one, My Naked Lunchbox, you know, that took it out of me a bit, because I spent months basically offline writing that one. And I've been trying to get myself, you know, into the Frugivore diet, but I think I have these high standards for it, like such high standards, like it's kind of just disabling me a bit, you know, like it's stopping me from really, I'm not sure, you know, like how much to, you know, what direction to take initially with it. So but that is the goal, you know, to write the frugivore diet and to be fully self-sustainable here, to continue spreading the message, the fruit-based message, you know, to the world. And obviously to see the world, like everybody taking on a fruit-based diet would be such an amazing, beautiful dream, you know, like it would just be,
Absolutely.
it would be incredible. That is like the ultimate dream that I have. And leaving animals alone, you know, like just leaving them to live their life and us living our lives. And yeah, that would be amazing.
Yeah,
So,
that word frugivore, I mean, you're basically the first person that's really taken that on and made that, like, you know, the title of your book and everything, and your YouTube channel and your website now. And that, to me, that is the truth that needs to get out there, is that human beings are frugivores. And once that's sort of accepted, that'll change a lot. You know, so that book will be so important, I think. I'm looking forward to that.
it is so important. I really feel like it's so important too, especially with these like carnivore diet people coming up.
Sure.
You know, when I saw the carnivore diet, I'm like, damn, we need the frugivore diet.
Sure.
This is ridiculous. So
Well,
yeah, thanks for the encouragement.
oh, yeah, brilliant. I'd love to see that come out. Well, thank you, Freelee, for your time. Really honored that you gave us some of your time today. I know that you don't do a lot of interviews, so that's really special. And for everyone listening,
Thank you for having me.
yeah, please check out obviously the frugivorediet.com, Freelee's YouTube channels, Freelee the Bananagirl, also the Frugivore Diet channel. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, the frugivore diet. Yeah, and I'm actually starting another one. It's an off-grid. It's just going to be purely about off-grid, you know, fruit growing and that kind of homestead lifestyle. Because the way the YouTube algorithm works now is that it basically wants you to only talk about one thing, you know, not to jump all around,
Right.
or else it just, yeah, it doesn't do well for the channel. You know, like if you're trying to get views and you're like, oh, you know, if I started putting videos like a review of, you know, the latest iPhone or something like that, you know, the algorithm will not send me any traffic like it used to, you know, like you kind of used to be able to get into the traffic that way.
Shark
But
videos
now
and
it just
stuff like
wants
that.
yeah, it wants your channel streamlined like that. So that's what that channel is going to be focused on. So that one's coming soon. And it's going to be called The Garden of Freedom. I've actually done the first video.
Amazing. Well,
Yeah.
that's fantastic, really, and I'm so glad to hear about how great the fact that you're saying you're in the best moment of your life. That's fantastic, and really looking forward to what you're doing next. And for everyone listening and watching,
Thank you.
yeah, everyone listening, watching, please share with other people, and if you think this is relevant to others, then share the video with them, and check out Freelee and everything she's doing. I'm sure you already know who she is. And if you want to follow us in the Fruit Festival and the stuff we're doing in the UK, you can go to fruitfest.co.uk and join us there. And we'll have news coming up about next year's festival and some upcoming events. And we do have an event in London coming up at the end of October, in 2 weeks' time. A fruit conference, Love Fruit Conference, and we're going to be talking about how a fruit diet can change the world, with a lot of interesting different speakers, including Doug Graham and Rosalind Graham and others. So looking forward to that. Fruitfest.co.uk for more information, all that. Thank you so much, Freelee. And
thank you for having me. It's been awesome.
Thank you. And we'll see you all in next episode of the Love Fruit podcast.